After understanding a preparatory note, we shall go to the first section of the essay, Subaltern Studies, Retrospect and Reminiscences. So this first section of the essay is titled as Looking Back at Our History. At our history means the history of subaltern studies. So in this section, Chakrabarti presents a retrospective and personal view of subaltern studies and discusses what that series that he mentions and ideas underlying it may have bequeathed to us. So he first of all looks back at the history of the development of subaltern studies as a project, and he talks about his own personal perception, his personal view about subaltern studies. At the same time, he discusses the impact of that series on them, the ideas underlying this particular project. He mentions that 30 years have gone by since the first volume of Subaltern Studies came out in 1982. So that is the year wherein the first volume of Subaltern Studies Collective came in. You can see this is in italics. Wherever it is in italics, you should understand. He talks about the series initiated by Ranjit Guha. And Ranjit Guha, who was he? He was the founding editor of the series. Had taken up in 1980 his position in what was then the South Asian History section in the Research School of Pacific and Asian Studies at the Australian National University, ANU. Okay, he had taken his position in that particular center, the South Asian History section. So, the way we know Richard Hoggart, Stuart Hall, it was Richard Hoggart who started the Center for Contemporary Cultural Studies at Birmingham. Yes. Ranjit Guha had taken the control position in that particular section in the university, in the ANU. And the section was named as Research School of Pacific and Asian Studies. So that was the center that we need to understand. That was the school in that university. And it was he who started this series. He was the founding editor of this series on subaltern studies, which started in the year 1982. Further, he refers to Anthony Lowe, who was the Vice Chancellor of the university at the time, had invited him to move to Canberra from Sussex, where Guha had been teaching. Okay, Guha had been teaching in Sussex, another place, another university in Australia. So Guha stopped by in Calcutta on his way to Australia. I think Sussex was some other place, maybe in UK. I'm not sure about that. Okay, so on his way to Australia, he stopped by in Calcutta. And I was in the city, he refers to me. I mean, Dipesh Chakrabarti was in Calcutta at the time doing research for my ANU doctoral thesis. He was doing his PhD from that university, Australian National University. So Guha's visit created a stir among the left intellectuals of the city. So when Ranjit Guha was on his way to Canberra, so the intellectuals were highly, they came to know about Ranjit Guha's visit to Calcutta. So they were highly motivated They got inspired and they came to meet him, visit him. And being the PhD student, Dipesh Chakraborty was also very much interested in visiting him. These scholars were left intellectual. They were leftist. You might be knowing in Bengal before Mamata Banerjee took control. Mamata Banerjee's regime started. The left was very dominant party. Unfortunately, it has lost its base over there now. Jyoti Basu ruled over Bengal, West Bengal as the chief minister for a long period, for more than what you call 20 years or so. But once Jyoti Basu, he was a very revered leader, political leftist, communist leader, we can say in India. But after him, communism in West Bengal lost its space, and Mamata Banerjee took the control of the things. She was the Congress leader initially, but she left. She left Congress and started her own political party. Now, why am I referring to this political event? Because subaltern studies is a political project as such. That it is not only a social project; it is a leftist movement. And in the beginning, we have already understood that cultural studies is not free from politics. So he is narrating, means he's looking back to his own history, their history. I'd just been to England and spent a few days with him in Sussex. So, as I said earlier, Sussex is in England. So, he had spent some time with Ranjit Guha on his visit to England, Sussex, and he discussed the project of subaltern studies, in which David Hardiman, David Arnold, two of Low's and Guha's ex-students. Low was the Vice Chancellor of Australia, and even they were the students of Ranjit Guha as well. And Shahid Amin and Gyan Pandey from Oxford. It's all of these are the contributors to subaltern studies. All of these two were Guha's acquaintances. Acquaintances mean they were in close contact with Guha. They were friends or so. From the year he spent in Delhi, were already involved. So you can understand the group that they have had, how this academic group was formed. It was the intellectual group, we can say. So they were all of these people were in touch with each other. So Dipesh Chakraborty was familiar with Guha. He had spent some time discussing the subaltern studies project with Guha at Sussex. So when they came to know something about his visit to Calcutta, they were excited, the scholars. I had carried the exciting news of subaltern studies to friends in Calcutta, mainly Partha Chatterjee and Gautam Bhadra, both of whom Guha spent much time with during his brief stopover. Okay, so through Dipesh Chakraborty, we come to know that he was acquainted with Ranjit Guha prior to Partha Chatterjee and Gautam Bhadra. And they also, got acquainted to Ranjit Guha during this visit to Calcutta. In this manner, the Subaltern Studies Collective, a group, was started. So he's talking about the journey of the project, and thus began the journey of a project that looked on itself at first mainly as an intervention in Indian, not even South Asian history. So it began as a journey and it started dealing with Indian history. not South Asian history. It mainly started as an intervention in Indian history. They started studying Indian history. So apart from these people, others joined subaltern studies later. Sumit Sarkar, I mentioned his book, who also eventually registered strong public disagreement with subaltern studies. Gayatri Spivak, Gyan Prakash, Susi Tharu, Shail Mayaram, Ajay Skaria, and MSS Pandian. So these are some of the members who joined this group in the latter stage. Okay, so this is how we understand this project started. It was initiated by Ranjit Guha. 12 or 13 volumes later, the group was formally disbanded in the year 2008 when we gifted our royalty incomes to the Center for the Study of Developing Societies in Delhi. So you are already familiar with all these. The Center for the Study of Developing Societies and all with reference to Vinay Law. So in the year 2008, this group was disbanded, closed formally after the publication of 12 or 13 volumes of the Subaltern Studies Collective. And the royalty, royalty means the income which is earned out of the sale of the books. So whatever money would be earned after selling the book, the royalty is given by the publisher to the authors. So that would be given to the Center for the Study of Developing Societies in Delhi. So during its lifetime, the project garnered its share of praise and criticism. So he goes into the history. He talks about the project. First of all, he shares his views or he shares his experience of the beginning of the subaltern group, the subaltern studies group. In my next lecture, I shall be talking about the both sides, the praise and criticism that they received during its lifetime.